So congratulations, you got an LOI signed. You're all excited about your M&A transaction, your exit, your trip to Hawaii. And then comes the dreaded due diligence list. What do you do? Hello, my name is Eric Rourke. I'm the CEO of Rourke, and we're here to talk about how to get through due diligence smooth and easy. First of all, congratulations. Not everybody gets to this point as selling your business. So while there's a lot of mixed emotions that are going on, it's very exciting. But typically, whenever you're in a business, you get a long list of due diligence. I mean, this thing is 13 pages, small print, and a million things, a million sections between legal, accounting, environmental, intellectual property. The list goes on and on and on. So the important thing and the first thing to do is make sure that you have projects assigned, and you really need a project manager. Now, whether that's yourself, and it very well could be, or whether it's someone on your team, a lot of times as a CFO, I was that project manager. It's really important to have that head quarterback because there's a lot of different people that you're going to have to be working with, and there's going to be a lot of questions that come out of it. The one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to get someone who it's the first time. You want someone who's going to be experienced, because there's going to be a lot of questions, and depending on those questions, it may raise doubts, it may reduce the valuation, it may blow up the deal altogether. So point number one, tip number one, make sure you get a good quarterback for this due diligence list. Secondly, it's going to be important to look at the priority of the items that are on this list. So there's some things that are going to be kind of pacing items. There's some things that are going to be very critical to looking at the deal. A lot of times the financial items are very important, and just establishing the legal entity and the ownership is going to be very important to the deal. So it's important to go and rank the order of priority. You'll need to be able to do the items and focus on the most important things first, so that way you're getting the information out to the team. So look, there's going to be a million items, and your team is already probably very, very busy as it is. So I know very few companies that run at 80% or 70% of capacity. So as you get the due diligence items and you look at the list and what you already have prepared versus what you don't, is now's a really good time to evaluate. Do I need to bring in additional people to be able to help me? Do I need to bring in experts to be able to help me? Because again, if you don't have the right people to be able to take you through this transaction, you can significantly hurt yourself or you can significantly blow it up. The next thing that you're going to look at is how prepared am I? So have you done audited financial statements? You're going to go through quality of earnings, you're going to go through legal. How well and how clean is your house in order? It's going to be very important. If your house isn't that clean or isn't in that much in order, you're absolutely going to look at bringing people in. So let's talk about from the financial side, since Rourke specializes in finance and accounting. What are some of the things that you're going to need to do, and what are some of the common mistakes people make? Well, first of all, just depending on, again, your relationship with your CPA, your requirements of your company. Some companies may have reviewed financials, some may have no reviewed financials, some may have audited financials. And these are very important because your firm is going to look and evaluate the company based on an accrual-based financial model in line with generally accepted accounting principles. And hey, look, while I'm an accountant, I'm the first to say everything that they do in generally accepted accounting principles doesn't always make sense to business-minded people. But it is going to be very important, and you don't want the surprises blow up deals, they lower valuations. So you want to make sure that your house is in order that way. So bring in the experts to be able to analyze that. Secondly, what you're going to want to look at, what's really important in an M&A transaction is EBITDA, right? And so what companies aren't going to always look at or tell you to look at is add backs that you can do to increase your EBITDA. So it's going to be important. What you want to look at is, what does the business look like now? And what does the business look like afterwards? Normalized EBITDA. So it's not uncommon to see business owners put in cars and other expenses, or maybe not have expenses that they've foregone in order to, because they're part of the ownership of the business. What you're going to want to do is take those charges out, put them as non-recurring EBITDA items, and look at other maybe non-recurring things that happen to be able to work through the EBITDA numbers. That's going to be very important in looking at your valuation. Companies are going to typically ask and look for projections That's going to be a part of the package in the due diligence process. And depending on how strong you are at your projections, could make this very tough or very easy. If you're new to doing projections, you're probably not as precise. If you're accustomed to doing forecasts and projections and budgets and things like that, then it's going to be a lot more natural for you. But either way, we get into this instant with business owners where it's like, well, let's make really nice projections. And so that way we pump up the valuation, people think we're going to do really good. That's not necessarily the answer. Then we get other business owners that are very conservative. We got to make sure that we meet our numbers. So let's make them conservative. Now this becomes like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This chair is too hard. This chair is too soft. We need to get to this chair is just right. So there is a risk on both sides of this. So if you pump up your projections too high and you're not able to make them, then as you go along in the process, the buying company may say, hey, we don't know how much faith we can have in these projections. It causes pause, it causes concern, and they're basing their valuation off of this. On the flip side of that, if your projections are too low, then you might be missing out on some opportunities. So getting the projections just right, having a good financial professional to be able to help you is going to be important as a part of the deal. That's the same thing as what we talked about a little bit earlier about having good financial information. So the one thing that people hate are surprises. And the more that you surprise people, it lowers the certainty of the transaction and the problems that happen. So if you're a buyer and you have low certainty, what do? No, the answer isn't that you pay a premium for it. That's never the case. Sorry, I know that's probably what you're hoping for. No, what you do is you lower the price. So that way, if there's a difference or a gap, then you're covered and you're not overpaying. Look, you're going to have reps and warranties that's going to be involved in this process saying these are the best numbers and I knew this stuff. And then sometimes they have earnouts or buyouts depending on how the deal's negotiated. So it's just the lower the surprises, the better financial information that you can give folks is going to be very important for the deal. The other thing, and I know you guys all know this from a sales perspective, TKD. What does that stand for? Time kills deals. So you're going to want to make sure that you're getting the financial information accurate, timely, and to the investors so that they can get through the due diligence process quickly and properly. You're going to probably be going through what's called quality of earnings, QOE, which goes typically through an audit firm. The quicker that you can move through this, the better the position that you're going to be in. And look, setting up this due diligence room where you have this information so that all suitors can look at it is going to be critical and be able to move through quickly. And there's going to be a lot of questions coming back. This is where I highly recommend, especially for private companies. Sometimes you call a CFO, or sometimes you'll have a CFO that is specialized in something else, or a controller. This is where you need the specialist. There are people that specialize in M&A transactions, and this is the most significant transaction of your life. You want to make sure that you're getting the best value out of it. And while some of the consultative fees may seem expensive, at the end of the day, the question is, what do you get out of it? You could get potentially higher value, you could get more credibility, and at the same time, you could keep from blowing up the deal. And these are where I start recommending these are good investments to be able to make for a company. So there are a lot of things to consider in an M&A transaction, and getting through a due diligence list can be absolutely exhausting. My high recommendation is look at what you have, look at where you need to be, and look at the timing of where you want to get there to be able to maximize your transaction and the success of your transaction. If there's any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments below. As always, if you have any questions, please call us, schedule a free consultation with Rourke. We're here to help, love, and serve, and this is the most significant transaction. Let's make sure that we make it right. At Rourke, we're here to help. Today, we talked about getting through due diligence smoothly and effectively. Have a great day, everyone.